That's a wrap up. Hey guys, welcome back. Let's do a January wrap up. In January, I read 6 books. So in this video, I'll tell you what was good, what was bad, and then we'll go through my February TBR and new releases to be aware of for February. First up, we have the Poison season. I've been really enjoying young adult fantasy novels lately. This one, I felt like the story was very imaginative, but also it kind of had like this creepy feel to it. It felt very cultish, where the people who live on this island called Endla have magic by way of singing, and they give sacrifices to the forest. The island is protected by the people who live on it, and outsiders aren't allowed. Even if a child is born on Endla without magic, they're exiled when they turn 12. I thought the world building and characters in this novel were really well done. The book really kept me interested the whole time. Although I do feel like the ending was a little bit rushed, it did leave me feeling a little underwhelmed. Overall, this was a really nice read. I feel like it's like a solid 4-star book. Okay, next we have Fight or Flight. This, I'm trying to work through my ebook TBR. I'm really bad at like when there's a sale on random ebooks and they're like 99 cents. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. And then I just have like this entire backlog of ebooks that like I just am not getting to. So I'm trying to work through that. So this is one of those ones that at some point it was on sale probably for 99 cents and I was like, let's give it a shot. And I remember before I bought it that I looked up the reviews and the reviews weren't that great, but I was like, it's probably fine. It's probably a good book. I don't know why it has such bad reviews. I should have known. This book was pretty shitty, not gonna lie. This was sort of a enemies to lovers book where 2 people meet on a plane and they basically hate fuck and then they agree to just keep sleeping together. And they were both extreme commitment phobes. And that just does not vibe with me at all. It incredibly frustrates me. And I did have a lot of issues with this book, but the biggest was the ending. And since it was a romance book, obviously the characters are going to have a happy ending together, but I firmly believe that they shouldn't have had a happy ending. And I was very disappointed with this one. I feel like this is definitely like a 2-star book. I should have seen the bad reviews on Goodreads and just completely skipped this one, but for some reason I was like, oh, I'm sure it's not that bad. But it was. Okay, next was What Lies in the Woods. So this was my winner of the Book of the Month spoiler talk poll. So the spoiler talk for this book is linked below if you want to check it out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on voting in my polls. The polls decide what I read. And this was the choice for January. So this I thought was a very solid thriller. Nothing was as it seemed, but in the end, everything did wrap up very nicely. I really liked the main character. She was prickly, but in a good way. And looking back, all of the reveals in the book weren't that shocking if you were really paying attention. There were clues everywhere. So that's what I liked about it, is that you could look back and be like, oh, she planted so many of these things throughout the book. And so I didn't feel like there were I didn't feel like you were left with any plot holes at all. Overall, though, I really did enjoy myself while reading this one, and I totally thought it was worth the read. I feel like it's like a solid 4-star book. Ooh. So this was another spoiler talk that I did this month. Linked below. So it's, you know, it's all of Harry's side of the story. It was like 400 pages and it just drug on and on and on. And I didn't find it inspiring or entertaining at all. So I don't know, like 2 stars. The Lost Melody. So this was the December Once Upon a Book Club box book. This book is based in the 1800s and it features a protagonist who has found herself trapped in an asylum and she has to try and basically escape and convince others that she's not mad. Since this is labeled Christian fiction, I would have not picked this up on my own, But since I got it in a book box, I was like, let's give it a shot. And I'm glad I did. I did appreciate the gothic tones to the book, but the whole time I could not stop thinking of the movie Shutter Island. That's just what I kept relating it back to. Overall, I thought it was a really solid read. I was entertained the whole way through. The only thing I didn't like were the forced Christian themes, which, are going to be expected because of the genre. But at the same time, they were also sparse enough that I could just ignore them up until the very end, though. It did kind of get like a little extra, but I did still like the story. So I do feel like this is like a solid 3.5, maybe 4-star read. I can't quite decide, but I don't know. I did enjoy it. Okay, and the last one is The Cruel Prince. So I listened to this one on audiobook. This is a book that I've tried to read in the past. I tried it on ebook last year, I think, and the beginning felt a little slow and I couldn't quite get into it. So I was like, I'll just listen to it on audiobook since physically reading it wasn't really doing it for me, which I thought the narrator of the audiobook did a fantastic job. I feel like that definitely contributes to my enjoyment level of an audiobook. Overall, story-wise, I can see why this is such a widely loved book. It was released back in 2018, and it feels like everyone has read it and is like, oh my God, it's so good. And I get it. I enjoyed the world building and the politics and everything that happened to the story. It kept me very interested. But on the flip side, the bully romance side plot with Carden, I was not a fan of. So that kind of leads me to be unsure if I'm going to finish the series. I know that everybody are huge Jude and Carden fans, oh my gosh, but I didn't really feel the chemistry between them, and I'm just not a big bully romance fan. I don't feel like it was enemies to lovers. I feel like it bordered too much on the side of bully. So I don't love that. So I did rate it a 3-star just because I'm so unsure about how I feel about it. I liked it, but I also disliked it. I don't know. I did put a hold on the next book in the series on audiobook. So I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it, but we'll see when the hold comes available. We'll see what kind of mood I'm in. Okay, so that's it for everything that I read in January. Overall, pretty good month. So going into my TBR for February, starting out, of course, I'm going to be reading my February pick for Book of the Month. At the time that I'm filming this, the Book of the Month books have not dropped yet, and I haven't done my poll, so I don't know what I'm reading yet. But of course, I will be reading something from Book of the Month and be doing a spoiler talk on it. Also, it is my goal for this year to read at least one memoir or one nonfiction book a month. So last month, January, was Spare. This month, it is When Breath Becomes Air. I'm very excited about this one. It's been on my TBR for a while, and then I found it in a thrift shop, and I was like, it's meant to be. So really, really looking forward to this one. Okay, and then 2 others that I need to read. I'm trying to read my book boxes as I get them. It didn't work last month, so I'm still working on it. But okay, so this one's from Aardvark, and it's The Key to My Heart, and I got this in the January box. And this one is Cruel Illusions from Fairy Loot, and this was in the December box. One last thing. Well, 2 last things. One thing and then another thing. I have a full shelf of physical TBR books. I need to start working through it. So I have decided that moving forward, each month I am going to be doing a bit of a TBR roulette type thing. So I went through my shelf with all my TBR books, wrote every title down on a sticky note, and put them in my friend here. So there they are. And I am just going to close my eyes and I'm going to pick one, and then I have to read that book because I need to get through these books. So, drum roll please. Okay, let's see what is our choice for this month. Oh, did I get one? Okay. I don't even know what book this is. I have way I literally, anytime I'm on Goodwill, I'm like, oh, that looks good, that looks good. Okay, so this month's book is Love the One You're With. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. Let me grab it. Okay, so this is the book. I vaguely remember this. I remember getting this at one of a book sale that I went to, and it was like $1, and I was like, okay. So this has been sitting on my shelf for over a year, I'm sure. So yeah, so we'll give it a go. Okay, so that is it for my planned TBR books. Obviously, I'm probably going to see other things that I'm interested in reading this month. These are just kind of my like hopefuls. And then here are some noteworthy new releases that are coming out in February. These are just things I think look good that I think should be on your radar. Things We Hide from the Light, Last Tale of the Flower Bride, These Infinite Threads, Sister, Maiden, Monster, Stone Cold Fox, She Is a Haunting, and Stone Blind. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more book-like content. I would very much appreciate it. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.